So, like many of you, I was waiting to see what the Osmo Action 5 brought to the table, specifically its specs and features. Good reason for that, really. I've been making use of the original Osmo Action and the original Osmo Pocket as well. But when I was up at the IFA Consumer Electronics Show in Berlin the other month, it soon became pretty apparent that the Sony ZV-1 that I was using for a lot of my walking around and interviewing was absolutely not suitable for the job that I wanted to put it to, basically. And the Osmo Pocket has never impressed me with its microphone. And to be honest, tiny little screen kind of annoyed me. And I wanted to see what the Osmo Action 5 brought to the table before I made my decision. I made my decision and I bought this, the Osmo Pocket 3. So I'm going to unpack it now and go through my reasons why I chose this over the Osmo Action 5. So there you go, this is what you get in the box, and you can see the box that I went for is the Creator Combo. Reason for that, quite straightforward, you get a couple of extras that floated my boat. An additional battery handle, that's going to give you an extra 60-70% battery life. And also you get this is the DJI Mic 2. Now you'll have seen me using DJI mics quite often on my videos, but unfortunately that is the original DJI Mic 1. Doesn't have Bluetooth. So the only way that was going to work is if I actually pegged the receiver, which is currently in the camera that is filming this now. You have to get the little receiver and plug it in, and frankly didn't want that. DJI Mic 2 Bluetooth will pair straight up to this, so I can clip it on, film and make output to my heart's content without having to mess around with additional cables, receivers or whatever. So that's the simple reason why I went for the Creator Combo. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, get things charged up and start playing around with this, update the firmware and all the rest of it. Then I'm going to get into why I actually chose the Osmo Pocket 3 over the brand new Action 5. Right, so as I said, I waited until the Osmo Action 5 Pro was released, and then I chose this, the Osmo Pocket 3. Why? Well, look, to be clear, this is not a competition. It's not about which is better than the other. There are so many people who are going to be buying the new Osmo Action 5 Pro this week, who for them, it will absolutely be the perfect camera for their specific needs. Take a look at my good friend Mike over at Drone Supremacy. He made this blistering opening sequence on his review of the Action 5 Pro. I mean, come on, look at him. Swimming, biking, jet skiing, mountain biking, scrambling, chucking it on any number of FPV drones. The Osmo Action 5 Pro, absolutely the perfect camera for these sorts of clips where you want super tough, waterproof action cam that's good in any number of conditions. And it is clearly an incredible bit of kit. The Osmo Action 5 Pro does come with a decent 1/1.3 inch sensor. It's going to provide brilliant 4K video, 100 megabits per second bitrate. It's got Rocksteady 3 electronic image stabilization to steady out the video despite the camera being thrown around. Slow-mo, 4K up to 120 frames per second, and even down to super slow-mo, 240 frames per second at 1080 resolution. Still images, also very impressive as well, pumping out 40 megapixel stills in JPEG and RAW. Massively improved performance in dim and night situations as well. All this housed in a rugged, bump-proof, dust-proof, waterproof housing with even its own water depth display and some really great peripheral features like connectivity to the DJI Mic 2 for decent sound. What else you got? 4-hour battery life, Wi-Fi 6 for faster file transfer, and even 47 gigs of internal storage. So what is not to like about all of that? Well, for me, it actually boiled down to just one simple thing, or two to be honest. First and foremost is the field of view of the two cameras. When I was in the Berlin Consumer Electronics Show the other week, I was massively disappointed with the results from the Sony ZV-1 that I was using. I had it handheld, but not only was it hopelessly unstabilized, the field of view was too narrow to get what I wanted in shot. Now, flip over to the Osmo Action 5 Pro, and you have got this massively wide field of view, 155 degrees, and this is how you get the huge, all-encompassing view that seems to magnify the sense of speed and movement in action cam videos, and this is why they're so good for this sort of filming, because you get a hugely dynamic sense of action. But for me, for everyday filming, where you aren't necessarily trying to capture all the world around you, but you actually just want to focus on you or someone you're talking to, then you need a camera that has got a narrower field of view, but not too narrow, you're going to crop their heads off. So for me, you want the subject to look real and lifelike and crucially the right size. And that leads us to somewhere like the Pocket 3. It's got a 92-degree field of view. Take a look at these two clips, one with the Pocket 3 and the other I filmed with the original Osmo Action. Despite the narrow field of view, I still find the Osmo Action way too wide angle for the type of video I would ordinarily be filming. When it's dynamic, fast-paced action clip, then yeah, of course, I want that action cam style, super wide angle shot. But despite me being away in the camper van and always climbing mountains and that sort of stuff, action clips are not the most common type of filming that I do. It's this. It's talking in the studio or outdoors, talking to the camera about whatever drone or whatever new gadget I'm testing or flying. And in this sort of clip, I want a decent angle of view. Not so close and not so wide angle that you can't see anything behind me because it's been made so small. Now, I said a couple of reasons for choosing the Pocket 3. The other main reason for me is this, the 3-axis mechanical gimbal housing the camera. And for me, mechanical gimbal is always going to win for stabilization over electronic image stabilization. For starters, I think it will even out the camera movements far better. But also you won't end up with any cropping of the picture, which is what happens when EIS has to work in order to trim the edges. It processes the pictures to make things more steady. Again, don't get me wrong, Osmo Action 5 Pro, absolutely outstanding at this job. Look at the promo video with the mountain bike going through the woods. But what I love about the Pocket 3 is the ability to actually control where the gimbal is, pointing it up and down with the 4-way micro joystick as well, giving you far more control and a far more natural, stable video. I want to be able to take the Pocket away in the camper van and use it as my main recording camera of making videos of me talking, as well as capturing videos on hikes and pretty much anything else I'm doing. Let's not forget what else is going on inside this gimbal as well. You've got behind the lens, Pocket 3 has got a brilliant, huge 1-inch sensor, bigger than the Action 5 Pros. As I said, that was 1/1.3-inch sensor. Camera-wise, the Pocket 3 is still going to pump out the same 4K video, but at 130 megabits per second, slightly higher bitrate. It's got the same 120 frames per second slow-mo at 4K and 240 frames per second at 1080 resolution, so all the same there. And another key feature that I really do love and do make good use of is the hyperlapse function that lets you preset camera movement whilst filming a time lapse to generate these sweeping moving time lapses. It's a function that is missing on the Action series of cameras, as of course the lens is fixed and the camera cannot move. And of course another key feature of the Pocket 3 is the ability to track you and follow you around like having your very own cameraman. Now, most of my videos that I make are shot on my own. Few friends, to be honest, have got the patience to be with me when I'm setting it all up. And one of the downsides of that, of course, is that you end up with a very static shot. And it means that if I'm trying to move around and actually play with the drone behind me, I have to stay in view rather than the camera panning around. Now, I know that the Osmo Action 5 Pro has introduced a degree of subject tracking, but it achieves that by cropping some of the sensor and just moving the sensitive, the bit where the recording is made, around the sensor. So it's very, very limited. Here, as you can see, the gimbal has got full free movement. I can crouch down, I can do something on the floor, stand up again and keep moving all the way around, and it'll just keep on following me. But look, whilst it's clear the Pocket 3 will do the job very well for most of the time for me, there's definitely a few downsides to it as well. Biggest problem is probably going to be this very gimbal that I love so much. It's delicate. If I drop it, this gimbal is almost certainly going to break straight away. It's not waterproof, windproof, dustproof, or anything else proof, to be honest. Really, this is a portable, tiny studio camera that takes brilliantly stabilised video at the perfect field of view, brilliant nighttime performance, and amazing hyperlapses and subject tracking. But fundamentally, if I'm doing something rough, tough, or wet, then it is not going to be any good, is it? Which is why I'm going to be keeping my original Osmo Action as well, ready to capture footage when the Pocket 3 just isn't going to be suitable. So look, again, I really want to be clear. I am not trying to make this video to be an in-depth review on either camera, and neither am I trying to imply that one camera is an overall winner or better than the other. What I am trying to do is explain why I was in the market for a new outdoor camera, and why, when I found out the specs and features of the new Osmo Action 5 Pro, I decided that despite its impressive array of features, still wasn't the camera that I wanted to use for most of my everyday filming outdoors. And that's why I went with a Pocket 3. But what I really hope is that after watching this video, you won't necessarily be swayed by my choice, but in fact, you'll simply be better informed to work out which model will actually be the best one for you and the type of video that you're going to be filming. As I see it, whichever camera you go for, it's going to produce brilliant results. But depending on what and where you're filming, then it may become clear whether or not you want to steer towards the rugged Action 5 Pro or the more delicate, but I don't know, in some respects more sophisticated Pocket 3. Anyway, look, as ever, if this has helped you, give me a little thumbs up, help the video along. More importantly though, please do drop comments below. Let me know what critical fact I may have overlooked from either of the two cameras, but also let me know maybe why a particular camera wouldn't work for you. This is how we get more points of view and gain a wider understanding of how people differ in their use of these things, and that's why I love reading through all the comments. Either way, look, I hope this has helped you. Until next time, have fun, happy flying.